everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah.
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
It's a podcast. It's a couple guys exploring religion, politics, and current events. A couple atheists. We're trying to stay alive. I don't know.
Oh, no. I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, the teachings of Jesus Christ, Dan,
the
supposedly, according to a fellow atheist, are central to holding up the and being the load-bearing wall of democracy, he says.
Here in these United
States.
We're going to talk about
designed that way.
There was a whole interview, and it was very interesting. Yeah. And I agree with some things, and very much disagree with some things. And anyway, lots of fruit for conversation.
We're going to go through it, and that's going to come up on the second half of the show.
Yeah.
Toward the end of the show.
We'll see. Who knows? That conversation might take 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then that would be like the last 2/3 of the show.
Yeah.
You never know.
But first, Dan, we need to get to some stories, things that happened this week, some news. We're back together again, which is also great.
After a couple of weeks of one end or the other of us, but neither.
Yeah.
But never both.
And if you'd like to hear our wonderful stories about our time away.
Oh my God.
You should go to.
Let me tell you something. This week's Frank and Dan Diary has some epicness to it. So now you couldn't pick a better time to become a patron. Sign up at the level on Patreon where you get the Frank and Dan Diary. Because
it's amazing.
It's a doozy.
It involves a deuce.
Anyway. Okay, stop
it. All right. But first, Dan, oh no, Dan.
Oh no.
There is a pastor who has passed away who I feel like we owe some attention to.
Oh, and I thought you were going to be like, owes us an apology. And I was going to be like, yeah, they do. Who is it? I don't know. Grr.
I'm a little surprised we've never talked about this guy. At least I don't think we've talked about this guy before. Thaddeus Matthews. Have you ever heard of him before?
Thaddeus Matthews.
He was the pastor at the Naked Truth Liberation and Empowerment Ministries. Which is located in Memphis, Tennessee. He was also known as the Cussing Pastor. He wrote a book, Dan, that I might actually have to get a copy of just so it's on my bookcase. I don't even know if I'd ever want to read it.
Right.
It's called The Cussing Pastor, Bullshit from the Pulpit.
Oh, I like that. I was really hoping it was going to be called Jesus fucking Christ, but okay, that's fine.
No. He actually, he didn't swear or curse. He cussed.
Okay.
And he felt there was an important distinction.
There isn't, but okay.
He said, let's see. He said, there is a difference in cussing and cursing, as people say. The words that we use today, like motherfucker, shit, damn, were not words that were used in biblical times.
True. They're in English, for one thing.
So I don't have an issue with the cursing. And the people that listen to me don't have an issue with the cursing. And I'm not trying to justify it to the traditional churchgoer, he says.
Okay.
He says, I find no reason to try to justify that. I'm a fisher of men. I go to people on their level. And you have to get past the cussing to get to the message. The cussing has drawn the attention of millions around the country. He also had a twerking contest at his church. Yeah.
I like the now I want him to be the twerking pastor. Like if he was doing it right, wouldn't he be the twerking pastor?
Maybe, but
you better twerk.
Passed away at 67 this last week. His ex-wife posted a little bit on social media after he passed. She claims that he had started repenting in his final days.
Of his cussing?
Of his overall demeanor and everything. He was getting himself ready to see Jesus or whatever. I don't know. I think I hate it when people come out and say stuff like that flies so counter to who the person was.
I think I'm guessing, and I have no data to back this up, but I'm guessing that like deathbed repentance of any kind is exceedingly rare.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I understand that like people assume that you're going to be terrified as you're dying and like, you know, looking sort of bargaining with the universe to try and get out of it in some way. But I just don't think people are going to throw themselves under a bus right at the end there. I could be wrong.
Here's the deal. I think the things that would be on your mind would be sort of your failings that were actual real regrets, right? Maybe a failed relationship with a loved one that you always regretted, right? And that has always weighed on your mind. I could see in sort of your final moments being like, I'm still so sad about that, right?
Yeah, sure.
And that just sort of weighing on you that you had never resolved that. I get that, right? But this guy, this was his brand. This is who he was. He felt like this is how he was reaching people.
Yeah.
Like, why would he back off on that? Right? That's not his great regret.
It's how he made all of his money. It's how he it's the thing that defined his success.
Yeah. A deathbed confession is going to be something that's weighed heavily on you your whole life or for years. Right. And who knows? Maybe he did regret his amount, all his cussing in his words. But I really appreciate a pastor who totally looks the part. Like there's a picture of him up here preaching. He's got a nice suit on with like he was a dapper fellow.
Okay.
And here's another one of him in like a pinstripe suit. Like
okay.
He was a proper preacher.
You like the cut of his jib.
Yeah. I actually do need to go find some videos of this guy. Like I just need to hear somebody talking about Jesus while also saying motherfucker. You know.
I like that.
So anyway.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's so funny because there is no prohibition against motherfucker, that kind of language in the Bible anywhere. It says, don't take the name of the Lord in vain. That's a very different thing.
Yeah.
And also it does say like not to curse and not to swear, but cursing and swearing in those cases are like literally doing a curse on someone or swearing an oath in the name of a holy, in a holy name and then lying and not actually fulfilling your oath. That's what cursing and swearing is.
Right.
It's not, motherfucking and whatever. Not the act, but the saying of the
no. Yeah.
All right. I've got some weird news. I think there's a thing happening right now in the world of American Christianity.
Oh.
We've talked a lot about how, for example, even though you'd never know it to hear the far right wingers talk, and they're all the only ones we can hear talk anymore. Most of America is actually fine with at very least LGB people. I don't know where they are with the T. The T is is a difficulty right now, and there's a lot of demonizing of trans people.
Yeah.
But at very least, at the minimum, people are fine with gay marriage in this country. People are fine with lesbians and gay people.
Well, they're less fine with lesbian marriage, but
oh no, they don't even talk about it. They don't even care about it.
They don't. Like, it is remarkable. Yeah. Anyway, and that was a joke, everybody.
Right. Anyway, here's the thing. Did I cut you off? Were you going to go on to make a joke about how gay weddings are so much better than lesbian weddings or something?
No, I let you say that, Dan.
Okay, great, perfect. Let's keep going.
You can own that one.
Have I ever been to a lesbian wedding?
Oh no, that's interesting.
I don't know that I have.
What about a certain? Oh no, she was a lesbian, but she was marrying a straight guy. And I know you were at that one.
That'll happen. Anyway, all right, going on. here we go. So here's a new phenomenon that I haven't seen, but I saw 2 instances of it this week. One just out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, where a group of ministers, 33 different ministers, who are all part of the Christian Reformed Church in North America, the CRCNA. I don't know if that's a thing. Stood up. They changed denominations.
Oh,
they literally sort of declared they got reordained into the Reformed Church of America, the Reformed Church in America, as opposed to the Christian Reformed Church in North America.
Oh my God. Okay.
But in doing so, they did it because their original ordination, the church, the CRCNA, was taking a hard line against LGBTQ people.
Oh.
And so they left en masse.
And where was this?
This was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which I think is where one or the other of those churches is based.
Okay.
But 33, and they plan to do another one next month. Another
skizz?
Another realignment.
Oh, wow.
Like a whole bunch of other more people. And then in Texas, there's an ACNA congregation, which is the it's the we've talked about them
American
before.
Christian Nationalists, the Associated Christian Nationalists of America.
Right, it's the Anglican Church in North America, which is different than the Episcopal Church. We've talked about them. They're a small offshoot but they're like trying to be They didn't want to be the liberally.
Is there a chart you can send me?
Oh my
God. Like keeps track of this?
Yes, there is, but it is 15 feet by 15 feet in 12-point font. Anyway.
I know what I really need now is with sort of all of these branched off little subgroups. What I don't need is for them to start like mixing and mingling,
mixing and matching.
Yeah. And like moving all around. Like, no, stay in your place. Although they seem to be doing a good move.
Yeah.
So I applaud.
Well, so these guys are breaking off from the, Anglican Church in North America and going to the Episcopal Church.
Interesting.
Because it's the same thing. They want to be more accepting.
Interesting.
So, a few of their congregants stayed behind with one of their pastors. One of their pastors was like, no, I like hating gay people.
Mm-hmm.
And a few, a small percentage of the congregants were like, yeah, we do. We like hating gay people too. Let's keep doing it.
Yeah.
But that's in Texas that this happened.
Yeah.
Granted, I think it's in Austin. So, take that for what it's worth. But that's... Yeah, I mean, this isn't
to be
plain
expected if it's in... Yeah, no. Yeah, that's probably true.
But... it seems that's an interesting trend. I'm just saying that is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, here's the deal. Like, as a gay man, I've been worried, right? Like my initial reaction to a lot of stuff that's going on in the country was, oh my God, they're coming for my gay marriage, right?
Yeah.
And then I started like kind of paying a little bit of attention, and I'm like, every single time there's something being said about the LGBT community, they're talking about the trans community. Yeah. And so I think it is really important that the L, the G, and the B people, right, remember the need for solidarity right now.
Yeah.
And because our level of acceptance is decent, right?
Right.
It's not perfect, but it's decent. Right. I feel pretty good and pretty safe as a gay man in this country. But I also have a lot of other privileges that are stacked onto that. onto my situation, right?
Yeah, it's good to be white. It's good to be man. Like those things are handy in this country.
And so like I feel okay, right? And I just have to remember that the trans community is a pretty small number and a vulnerable community and filled with really strong people, right? But they're in a vulnerable position.
Yeah.
And they're being just attacked.
Yeah.
In completely irrational ways, right? They're like it's hard to wrap my head around the amount of hatred that is being directed at the trans community right now.
At a community that is hurting no one. Like they are out there. They are not, they're attacking no people. They are not, they are not out there doing any of the bad things of which they are accused.
Right. And so I just kind of wanted to say that because it's like we need to really remember the need for the group solidarity. It's how the gays and the lesbians never used to like each other, right?
Yeah. Way
back when, right? I'm talking about like pre-1970, 1980, right? And even then it was tenuous for a while. But when the groups started working together, that's when gay rights, generally speaking, right, which includes the lesbians and everything, like that's when the movement really got going, right? Is when we got together and we started working together, and so we need to remember that we need to have that solidarity with the trans community.
I'm going to expand it because yes, I do think that the LGBT the LGBT people need to stick with the T people, but the straight community also, like, if you are ever wondering, would you have stood up for the Jews during the Holocaust? Guess what? Now's your chance. Like, we need to be looking out for the trans folks and the immigrant communities in our society because they're now in that position. That is the position that we're now in.
Well, and don't forget that those same groups were also
victims of the Holocaust. Absolutely. Like now is your chance to prove to yourself that you would have been a good German citizen because you got to be a good American citizen.
Yeah, absolutely right.
All right, there you go. What do you got?
Oh, geez, is it my turn?
It's your turn.
Well, speaking of lesbians.
Okay, great. I love speaking of lesbians.
A lesbian couple. Actually, let's start back. This story actually begins in 2017.
Oh.
When a lesbian couple visited the Tastries Bakery in Bakersfield.
Sure.
To buy a cake for their wedding.
Oh God.
And
cake story.
They selected get this. Okay, this is really important. They selected a pre-designed plain white 3-tiered cake that the bakery sells for various celebrations, including birthdays, baby showers, etc. Right? It was a generic standard product, right? Okay. That they go in, but it's a big cake and it's expensive, and so they went back for a tasting. They brought in friends and family, and the owner of Tastries Bakery,
which, by the way, come on. That's a terrible name for a bakery.
It should be Tastries Bakeries.
It should be banned. Whatever it is.
Bakeries.
That's a terrible name.
Anyway, Catherine Miller, she comes out and she refuses to sell the cake because she will not have her cake at a same-sex wedding.
Lord.
She believes that, quote, wedding cakes must not contradict God's sacrament of marriage between a man and a woman.
Yes, that's what God would be angry about is the cake.
What in the fuck are you talking about, lady?
Stupid, dumb bitch.
So anyway, the couple sued, and a county court ruled in the cake owner, the bakery owner's favor. They've taken it to an the appellate court. The fifth appellate judges that they appeared in front of disagreed with the county judge, saying that the owner's policy was not neutral, right?
Right.
Because that's what they're trying to say, that the policy applied to all customers. Right. Our anti-gay policy applies to everybody.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like I'm consistently anti-gay.
Right.
While I'm serving straight people all the live long day.
I will
discriminating
be anti-gay
against gay people.
I will be anti-gay against to straight people as well.
Exactly. And so, so they said that the owner's policy was not neutral because it could only apply to customers on the basis of their sexual orientation.
Right.
Correct. They also ruled that selling the plain cake the couple ordered with no writing or decorations and available to all customers doesn't force Miller to express support for same-sex marriage.
You're right.
This is a quotation from what the judges wrote.
Yeah.
It says, drawing the contours of protected speech to include routinely produced ordinary commercial products as the artistic self-expression of the designer is unworkably overbroad.
Yeah. It's like if a shoe Nike was like, no, we won't sell you shoes if you're going to wear them at a gay wedding. No.
Right. And exactly right. Right. Like, okay, there's like been this thing about like, the masterpiece cake thing.
Yeah. And that went disastrously because we live in the dumbest timeline of all time.
Right. Yeah. But the crux of that was it was a custom cake, right? Yeah. And so there was like this, so it's therefore some sort of artistic expression, right?
Right.
Which is that's a stretch, right? It feels like a stretch to me.
Yeah.
This cake maker has really a high opinion of himself, right?
Right.
Each cake is an artistic expression, but whatever.
Calm down. But yes. Okay, fine.
But this is a standardized product that's available generally to anybody that goes in there for whatever purpose, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, it is, of course, going to make its way up through the courts, and it will be interesting to see where this one goes and what the ramifications of any final decision might be. But this is a fairly solid cut and dry case, right? Or seemingly. So it'll be interesting to see how the higher courts can fuck it up.
Yeah, but they'll manage it. They're good. They're good at what they do. All right. Well, there you go. All right. I'm going to take us to where is this guy from? This is Missouri Republican Congressman Mark Alford, who I don't know if you've been seeing the attempts that Congress people are doing to have town hall meetings.
Yeah.
Lately.
Yeah.
They're not going well.
No, I don't.
Because these people are putting themselves in the position of defending indefensible actions taken by President Musk and his cohorts. So,
please don't. Like, I can't even hear that.
It's rough, but I mean, oh my God.
But kind of true.
But kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
Anyway, Congressman Alford was talking to some constituents and was asked about, hey, I don't want to lose my job. I work for the government and Elon's trying to make me lose my job. How about that? And literally, so this is what the congressman had to say. Just because you have a government job doesn't mean it's a lifetime appointment like the Supreme Court.
Oh my God.
He said, which obviously that made everyone feel a lot better. And then he said, so I would encourage anyone who finds themselves in this situation to realize that we are going to get this economy turning again. There are jobs available. God has a plan and purpose for your life. So apparently, don't talk to me about this. Talk to the man upstairs. All of this, the wholesale slash and burn of employment. That's all God ordained.
Yeah. And also not usually great for the economy that they're trying to get going. The economy that was going pretty good.
Right.
that was showing really strong signs of like continued growth and whatnot. That's what they needed to fix was that.
Yeah,
and they're potentially gonna do a really good job of fixing the upward climb of the American economy.
Yeah, I think they might just fix that problem of prosperity and unemployment being in a good place. The thing that you want when you need to when you want unemployment to be better is to fire everybody.
Yeah. Great idea. That's really, really brilliant. And also like what you want to hear from people who might actually have some sway.
Right.
Is no, this is God's plan for you.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. God will take care of you.
There's nothing any of us can do about this but pray. Don't worry. The only solace I have for you is that like on an eternal scale, this won't matter that much.
Yeah. Guess what, D-bag congressman? We're not coming to you. If we wanted a religious message, we would have gone to church.
Yeah.
That's not why we're here.
Yeah. According to the Kansas City Star, roughly 30,000 people in the Kansas City area work for the federal government. So it kind of didn't land great.
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting to see how all of that plays out long term.
Yeah. I mean, the good news for me is that at least some people on the right are actually blaming the right for doing what the right is doing.
Yeah.
So that's good because traditionally they look at something bad that, Trump is doing and then they go, haha, see, that was either good or somebody else is doing it. Yeah. And they pretend like the reality isn't real. So at very least, like there's nobody that they can blame for this except these people. So
right. Well, and for once also it the consequences might actually be coming back to bite them on the ass.
Oh my God.
Let
us pray.
Unnamed, theoretical immigrant over there.
Yeah.
Right. Like in their minds.
I mean, it is an immigrant. Right. In fairness, it is an immigrant that's doing all of this.
Fair enough.
It's just the wealthiest immigrant in the world.
Yeah. All right. Dan. There was a story this week that really made its way around everywhere. Everywhere I looked, I kept seeing stories of the decline of Christianity slowing in the United States.
Yes, I saw this too.
The numbers of the non-affiliated, the nuns, the so-called nuns that we're a part of, plus just people who don't go to church and whatever. That number is plateauing, and
after like decades of Christianity being in free fall and nuns climbing precipitously.
Yeah, exactly. And so there were a lot of different takes. The headline, it was always very telling. Reading the headline,
yes,
right,
indeed, sure.
As to like who was concerned about what part of this.
Yeah.
Anyway, I actually found that the Christian Post had one of the more sane responses to the whole thing, as far as I could tell.
Okay.
Because they definitely. This is their headline. It says, decline of Christianity slows in U.S., but future among the young looks bleak. And so they were not jumping up and down over the idea of like their numbers being no longer in free fall. They're looking to the future and they're like this next generation that we're like there are hope. Right.
Yeah.
Their lack of belief, hopefully, is going to be good for this country. They're looking at it obviously as a negative, but I think that their assessment of the whole thing is reasonable in that the Zoomers and the next one after them,
the Alpha.
Thank you. They do have incredibly low numbers that seem to be kind of stable at the moment of levels of belief. But as these older folks start to die off, right? Yeah. These are the people that are going to be replacing us olders, and their levels of belief are really low, and that's just going to sort of continue the slow decline, even if the rates in these groups don't change that much. Which seems like a really reasonable way to look at this. Also, it's like a moment in time, where we've seen a slowdown. It's possible that the numbers pick up. It's possible the numbers go in the other direction, right? Like we don't know. It's always fun to look at like what's happening currently and project it out long term.
Yeah.
Often not what happens.
But
I feel like nobody should be too worried that they're seeing these numbers kind of stagnate for a minute.
Yeah, maybe. I guess my take, because interestingly, Hemant Mehta, I read what his write up of this Pew study, and he kind of had the same take as a different opinion of the take, but he had the same take as your Christian Post, which was, the young people are going to come up, the old people are going to die out, and this is going to change. Like that's going to be a different thing.
So it's a slower decline.
I just don't. Here's what I think.
Decline.
I think we need to be prepared for a period of the opposite, which is to say that when societies are in more trouble, when things are going really badly, when people are more afraid, that's when religiosity goes up. That is when religion feels like it has the answers.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that we've been in free fall, or that religion has been in free fall in this country, is because people have felt secure. They haven't felt like they needed it. They haven't felt like they needed, the support and comfort of a supernatural daddy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that people are going to feel that much more in the next many years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that Christianity is going to probably gain some strength.
That's interesting. I suppose
even among the young people.
Yeah.
And we are seeing that. There are, it's not happening in droves, but we are starting to see it.
Yeah. I suppose a lot of it would have to be the reasons why people left Christianity, right? Which is, I honestly feel like people, I think that American Christianity is in crisis. Right?
Yes.
And it's not just because its numbers are dropping. It's because it has lost its way, right?
Right.
And it doesn't have a message for people that is inviting and
you think?
And that people want to associate with. And so I would say that unless Christianity finds the messaging that would lure people back during a time of crisis, right? Then I don't see why you would go back if you have recent memories of why it sucked, right?
True.
You know why you don't go. Because it didn't offer you anything, right?
But that's what I'm saying is that the young people won't have those recent memories.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's possible. And who's to say if they decide to go find it amongst the Christians?
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think that it'll be like the end of the world if they have a rally for a little while, because it's not like we as a society are going back. We're not, but there may be some jolts back for a little bit.
Well, this is the thing about the nuns, which is, the first word of none of the above, right?
Right.
Which is not super connected to a lot of stuff.
Right.
Right. Like as far these are not people who, that was a dumb way to say that, but they're not like, for the atheists and the people sort of our ilk, right?
Yeah.
We're confident in our position, right? We don't believe in God for any number of reasons. But if you're just not going to church and you just don't care, I think that's maybe what you're talking about, right? Is that group might start to care, right?
Yeah.
About needing some comfort and thinking that, like, that thing that they just have been very relaxed about and not really seeing as a major priority in their life, maybe they'll start to see it as a priority. I guess I can see that.
Also,
I think that's the group that they could potentially get. I don't see, like, the truly secular, the truly atheist starting to be like, hey, you know what I'm missing?
No,
but what would make me feel better during these trying times? Yeah,
we and we'll get to some of this conversation later in the show. So I don't want to get too deep into that. I mean, it's too late. But I do think that we, as a secular culture, need to learn to fill the needs that religion has filled for centuries or for millennia, and we haven't figured that out
and
yet,
that has failed to do in recent years.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll get to more of that. In the meantime, I am going to tell. I think there's some positive story here, and so we have reported recently of some really horrific bills being put forward in state legislatures across the country.
Yeah.
Sort of the paragon of lunacy lately has been your old stomping grounds of Oklahoma.
Fuck that place.
And we've talked a lot about a feller by the name of Dusty Devers, who is a state senator.
That is such a good porn name.
It's the only name it could, like, that is a cowboy pornography name. I'm Dusty Devers, and I'm here to break you with Philly. Anyway, if I'm leaving the spurs on, Missy. All right, Yeesh. Dusty Devers, porn cowboy and state senator Dusty Devers. God, I would never. If you see this guy, you know you don't want to watch a porn with him in it. Anyway, he put forward just a slate of bills, basically just hate bills. He was just and Jesus bills. It was hating Jesus. And we now know that several of them have been shot down.
Oh, good.
So SB 456, which was the Abolition of Abortion Act, which was going to make sure that abortion was treated as a homicide, and then, you know, if you aided in the procurement of an abortion, you could very well become an accessory to homicide, sort of thing.
Jesus Christ!
But that was a bridge too far for even the Oklahoma. It didn't make it out of committee.
Wow.
So it literally failed in the state judiciary committee by a vote of 6-2, which meant that 4 Republicans had to cross over and vote against it with the Democrats.
Wow.
So that was good. There was Senate Bill 228, the Covenant Marriage Act. You remember we talked about that? That was going to reward people for promising to stay married for the rest of it forever and swear that they loved Jesus a lot, sort of thing. And that didn't make it out of committee. That one also, like, people were like, you know that, like, that's not great, right? Like, we can't just do that. And so, yeah, that one didn't make it out. And then finally, SB 829, which would ban no-fault divorces, Yeah, that one that one got shot down too.
Oh,
so
wow. Turns out these aren't popular ideas.
No.
Huh.
No.
Interesting.
Listen, Republicans like divorce as much as Democrats do. Okay? Everybody, like, when you need a divorce,
maybe
you
even
want
more
a divorce.
so.
Yeah.
Even more so because, like, you know, do you really want to be married to one of those Republicans?
Right? Yeah. I mean, I think that was his worry. I think he is he knows his marriage has a timer on it.
Ooh.
It's going to go ding at some point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you would like to write in to us about Dusty Deavers or any of the porn stars that we talk about on this week's show, please feel free to do so. It's a podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. We'd love to hear from you. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up.
All right, Frank. Well, it's been 2 weeks since we read any emails or listened to voicemails or, thanked anybody. So we got a lot to get through in this. And please forgive if we didn't get to yours. We unfortunately we had to pick and choose. And did we pick with care and precision? No, we just picked the ones.
Oh, geez. Thanks, Dan.
I mean, I'm saying you could have written a nice email. Don't take it personally if it didn't get on. And that's always the case. Don't take it personally. Anyway, Nathan wrote into us to say, Department of Education wants people to narc on school districts who they perceive as attempting to indoctrinate kids. There's a form people can fill out on their website, and then the Department of Education says it will launch an investigation. I figured if people wanted to spam them, this would make a good template to help waste their time. This is Nathan's template for y'all. The schools in this district unfairly favor nationalism and Christianity because they have the students and teachers say the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh. This is a clear violation of church-state separation. This is favoritism of religion and needs to be ended now. No more indoctrination. Thank you for your speedy investigation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is, it won't get very far,
no,
obviously, because that's real indoctrination and they only want pretend. They're only worried about pretend ones, but there you go. All right. Ruthie wrote into us to say, Dear Frank and Dan, and she includes Rachel, I live in the part of Texas where the measles outbreak is occurring.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Fun for you. I wanted to stress that the outbreak began in the small Mennonite community here, but quickly spread to the community at large. This is due to the fact that our area abounds with fervent anti-vaxxers. Blaming the Mennonite for this outbreak is a popular pastime for these folks who don't seem to understand that if their own children had been vaccinated, they wouldn't be coming down with the measles too. Local news reported the first death of a child due to measles just this morning.
Yeah.
My Mennonite neighbors are only half the problem, but the MAGA majority here are saddling them with 100% of the blame.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah,
on that makes sense.
I mean, they're all
rings
fuckers.
True.
fuck the Mennonites.
Yeah.
Fuck all the anti-vaxxers. I got no sympathy for any of them except the children who are the ones who are going to die.
Yeah. Oh, blazes.
I believe we have a voicemail. Do we not?
We do indeed, Dan. This is a caller. I think he's responding to a story that we did about school prayer.
Okay.
And so let's have a listen.
Okay.
Hey, this is Bill in Southern Ohio. I just wanted to pass on that many of the schools, including the Pickaway Ross Career Technology Center, are hosting Christian athlete prayer meetings in the mornings right before school. And my understanding is that it's widespread in Ross County, Ohio, at all the county schools, or at least several of the county schools, as well as at Pickaway Ross Career Technology Center. And there are some teachers that are feeling a little bit afraid because all of the teachers that support it are putting pictures of crosses outside of their doors. And so anyone who does it's going to be targeted, probably, by administration. I asked one teacher if they wanted me to intervene with the ACLU or the Freedom from Religion Foundation, but said please don't because he's afraid for his job. I just thought I'd pass that around. So that's the school that I know about is Pickaway Ross Career and Technology Center in Ross County, Ohio. Thanks a lot. Love the show.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are the kinds of things that are happening all over the country, and yes, they are purity tests. They are they're not. It's not going well here.
No,
and I understand that teacher's fear.
I understand the teacher's fear, but we need to be standing up to this because, and it's scary, right? And you never know somebody's own personal situation, so you can't judge why they've decided not to. But if you can, you need to stand up because it's important. Even if it's a little scary and it's a little risky, assess your risk and make your decision. But yeah, people need to be standing up.
Yeah. So if you're a parent who has a kid in a school where the teachers are all posting,
the parents are
crosses,
probably the ones who have a lot of power here.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe not power. That might not be the right word, but like who have a better position that's a little less risky. Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's risk because like your friends and neighbors might freak out on you. So there is risk, but also
maybe not your employment being on the line.
Right. And also, like, you can talk to the FFRF, you can talk to ACLU and just say, and they're not going to put you in danger if you don't agree to it. They will let you know what to expect, and if you have to use your name or if you can be anonymous or whatever.
Right, exactly.
But they've been doing this for a while. They know how this shit goes down. So at least talk to them.
It's worth a call. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Okay. Let's see. We'll do one more. This is from Mark, who says, "Hey there, absolutely love the show. Have for quite a long time. I just wanted to point out something that happened in this week's episode when it came to the discussion introducing creationism once again in schools. You mentioned that creationism might be a hypothesis, but it's definitely not a theory. I taught high school chemistry for 33 years, and I found that the general public typically does not have a great understanding of the meaning of either of those words. Creationism cannot be a hypothesis because a hypothesis has to be testable. You have to be able to conduct an experiment to test the validity of the hypothesis. Creationism, by definition, is not testable and therefore fails to even meet the qualifications to be a hypothesis." I don't know, Mark. I can pray. That's a test. Dear Jesus, please show me that you created the world.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It's not a good test, but it's testable. No, thanks for that. That's a good point. And then finally, Steve wrote in to say, regarding, this is in regards to a conversation that Kate and I had a couple weeks ago. Dear Frank and Dan, regarding the 18 February podcast, I am grateful for something Dan said about a possibly not good situation. Your listeners have dramatically dropped, but he offered the understanding that things are tough, not good, and that he understood all the crazy times here in the old USA. That's me. Basically, from December to now, I have had to back off. As a federal employee, as someone working with military officers of high stature, wow, this is a rough time. I like to come to your show to gain a different perspective to what used to be media bias, but is now outright right-wing propaganda. But as the current meme states, my desire to be well-informed competes with my desire to be mentally healthy. Thank you for being understanding. I think I speak for a few of your listeners when I say I'm not listening as much for my own well-being and not because of you. I will continue to listen. Just keep the show's notes up so I can choose wisely what I want to hear. Please find a small donation to atone for my misdeeds. And Stephen has now has given us a donation, and for that, Stephen, thank you. I bless you with the priesthood. You are now a deacon in our fine priesthood, and I really, really appreciate that. And I have a whole bunch of other people to thank, and I believe you do as well.
I do, yeah.
So thanks to Susan, who's also a deacon, to Julie, who is a teacher, and Luann, also a new teacher. Thanks to Ryan, who is a deacon, and James, who is a priest, and Anne, who is also a priest. Thank you all so much. These are all people who did a one-time donation, and you can handle all the people who have now joined up over on Patreon.
Yeah, it's remarkable. I don't know what you said, Dan, but
I said just that like, you know, we're all struggling here.
Yeah.
The people, a lot of people can't handle news right now, and I totally understand that, but it means that, you know, our show doesn't do as well because we keep talking about it.
Well, I'm overwhelmed by the response.
Oh,
like, I think this is pretty amazing. We have 3 new deacons. We have R. I am a philosophical hole. And Torsten What the Fluff.
Okay, excellent.
Those are 3 new deacons. We have 3 new teachers. We have Melissa, Shelley, and Stu. So thank you so much to y'all.
Wonderful.
And then we have a new... Oh, let's see. We have a new priest by the name of Blue Violet. We have a new elder by the name of Audrey.
Oh, look out, Audrey.
Woohoo.
She's getting Melchizedek priested up in here.
And we have a new prophet, seer, and revelator.
What?
By OCD's Nuts. So thank you very much to all of you. That is an incredible... I can't think of a time we've had this many new supporters.
Yeah, it's we're a little show. We're out here doing our best, but to hear that kind of appreciation and to get that, it does warm the cockles a lot.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It goes a long way. So thank you guys so much. If you haven't jumped on that bandwagon, but now you realize the importance of it and would like to, you can go to thankgodimatheist.com/donate and choose which way you want to do it. You can do the Patreon way, which has different things. That's where you can get the Frank and Dan Diary, or you can just do a one-time donation or a monthly donation over on PayPal. Whatever works best for you. We appreciate all donations equally.
Yes, and as always, we have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Davis.
More show coming up. All right, Frank. So we teased it at the beginning. There was an interesting interview that the Salt Lake Tribune has a podcast called Mormon Land, and they interviewed a guy named Jonathan Rausch.
Yes,
who describes himself as a Jewish atheist. Gay
atheist,
a gaytheist, if you will.
Yeah.
But he had a very interesting take. Do you want to just sort of do the quick bullet points of his take, just so that we have some understanding of where he was at?
So he refers to Christianity as the load-bearing wall of American democracy. He said there's a lot of walls doing a lot of work, but Christianity is the load-bearing wall. And so he basically really talks up Christianity's historic role in the nation, in teaching values to young people as they're growing up, and then they grow up and they're sort of better citizens, right, for having grown up in a Christian community with Christian values, it's a little shocking, right? Because you said, here's this, gay atheist, right? Who
is atheist, but wasn't even brought up in a Christian tradition, was brought up in a Jewish tradition. So.
Yeah. And so he's basically saying that Christianity has an incredibly strong role. He also says that secularism has an incredibly strong role, right? That the two systems, even though they sometimes feel incompatible, are essentially interdependent. Our government is secular, but we learn our values from Christian church. Yeah, is what he's saying. Yeah. He says society and people tend to be healthier when these two things are aligned than when they're pulling apart. Okay. Definitely, yeah, probably better. We're feeling the pulling apart right now. Yeah. And we're feeling a reaction amongst a lot of believers to what they thought was an overly secularizing society, right?
Well, and even he talks about secularizing, and he says he used to be a big proponent of this of sort of the secularization of our country. Mm-hmm. And now he says, "Boy, was I wrong."
Yeah,
it's not working. It's not going great. So we need to bring back the bulwark that was Christianity.
Yeah,
and get that all set up again.
Yeah,
and he uses as his example of a good a sort of the, because one of the things he says is that Christianity has become corrupted, is bad, mm-hmm. And we need a better Christianity.
Right.
And he uses as his example of a better Christianity, and this, I think both of us kind of, woof. I was not prepared for him to say Dallin H. Oakes of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, my ears perked up at that.
It was like,
yeah, I was like, what? Yeah. So he goes through the history of the church's stance on same-sex marriage as kind of an example.
The Mormon Church.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Of kind of how he got to this point, to this conclusion. Because, and he talks about Prop 8 out in California and the church being, basically funding the opposition to gay marriage in California.
Which they did. This was back in 2008.
2008. And it was a really big fucking deal, and it was highly influential. And
it was disastrous, and it was awful.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's what he sort of knew about the Mormons and gay marriage. But then he hears about how the church comes out in favor of an LGBT anti-discrimination ordinance here in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
That had to do with workplace protections and housing protections.
Which was a remarkable thing that none of us saw coming.
Yeah. And but because it had nothing to do with marriage, they were okay with it. Right. And so he kind of perked up at that.
Yeah.
Then in 2015, the church, the Mormon Church, joined with conservatives in the state legislature and Equality Utah, which is our local LGBT advocacy group here in Utah. And they passed what has become known as the Utah Compromise. So the church, by endorsing this, they've basically embraced LGBT anti-discrimination, but it was a compromise. And so in the law, there's some protections for religious groups. Anyway, so they got some stuff.
These are carve-outs that I actually think are wise and good, which are like, that BYU, for instance, would not have to accept gay married couples in their married student housing.
Right.
That sort of thing. So it was protecting the church's right to be bigoted, but also while protecting gay people's rights to be married and not discriminated against.
Yeah. And so it's really the LDS Church has been doing some interesting work here, and he calls it countercultural, right? And because the rest of American Christianity is, like the Catholics, the League of Bishops or whatever the damn thing is called.
Yeah.
Like they're really awful. And the Southern Baptists have been pretty nasty, and evangelicals in general, have a lot of animosity that they demonstrate toward the gay community.
And make no mistake, the Mormons hate the gays, and not all of them, but like Dallin Oaks specifically, he hates gay people. He is a hateful man.
But he's more interested, at least by the words that are coming out of his mouth and the actions of the church.
Right.
He's more interested in civil society functioning.
Yeah.
Right. And with this understanding that not everybody has to agree. Right.
Right.
Not everybody has to be the same, but we do have to get along. Right. We do have to share this country, and that there is value in creating space for the people who are basically the opposite of you.
Yeah.
Right. And that we need to respect that. And so I'm hearing all of this and I'm like, there's a lot here that's really important. I don't agree with his idea that Christianity teaches good values, so that, or traditional Christianity has taught good values, and therefore there needs to be a return to it. No. Actually, there does need to be a return to that.
To good values?
To Christianity teaching good values to their people. Right?
Sure.
What we don't need is Christianity to be the load-bearing wall of democracy.
No, right? And that's a good reason why we don't.
They don't have a monopoly on values.
No, they don't even have values at this point. And the point, and the point that I think this guy misses, Roush misses, is that he looks back and he sees in American past a church that did sort of keep all the sheep in the same corral in terms of here is a set of values, and we should abide by those. And they were largely good principles.
Not the racist ones, but
not
the
rest
racist,
of them. Right. There was a whole bunch of them that weren't good. But the problem is that look at how easily that can become corrupted. Mm-hmm. It's so easy, and it always will. And that's the problem. Is that what will always happen is someone will want to make a play for power, as always occurs. Mm-hmm. And the way you make a play for power is by being the different one, by being the other guy. And right now, the other guy is the guy who's yelling, get the trans, get the gays, get the immigrants, go get them, which is very clearly counter to the message of Jesus. Right. But if you can package "get them" in in Christianity talk, and you can pretend like that's it's not. I almost said if you can pretend like that's Christianity. Guess what? It fucking is. That is Christianity. There's no true Scotsman here. If that's what Christianity is doing right now, then that's what Christianity is.
Right.
And if you and so it's not Christianity that's going to save us. What's going to save us is we need institutions that do that job. Right. He's right that we need to find a way to bulwark a collective understanding of morals and ethics. And we don't have it.
Right. And just to be, there's probably some people screaming because they have in their head, a version of Christianity that might sound like we're kind of saying, oh yeah, those good Christian values. The values that we're talking about here are things like the golden rule, right?
Sure. Well, you and I were talking earlier, and I was remembering that, like, he's saying that, like, schools, that this isn't stuff that's taught in schools, but I remember being taught in school that, America was a melting pot, that it was important that we accept everybody. And when, and I remember reading the poem that's at the base of the Statue of Liberty, the give us your huddled masses yearning to be free, and we took pride in the idea that America was a place where people could come from anywhere and succeed. And that was the idea, was the American dream was you weren't going to be in poverty here. You weren't going to be, if you were willing to do some work, which, there's some problematic stuff in it, but if you're willing to engage with society, society will take care of you.
Well, and I remember learning about American generosity, right? That like the aid programs that we ran throughout the world, right? Which have just been shut down entirely. And I remember learning about that kind of stuff in elementary school, learning about America as sort of the breadbasket of the world and whatnot. And that and we took our surplus and we would give it to places in need, right?
Yeah. And it was a point of pride. It was it was who we were. And that was how we defined ourselves.
So you're right. You can learn this from the schools. You don't need a church to teach this kind of stuff to you, right? If this is actually getting taught. But I do think that in this, there is something else, which is Christianity needs to be called to repentance.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that should be the way that we phrase it in my mind, is that they have gone astray. They are off the rails. They have they no longer listen to the teachings of Jesus Christ. Right? They all of the, there is nothing about Jesus Christ that they are emulating at this moment.
Or and if they do, they deploy back. It as a weapon.
Yeah. And they need to be called back. I don't know who needs to do this, but Christians need to be called to repentance. And it needs, in my mind, it needs to be that language, because that's the only chance, is to use their language back at them. Right. Like, you guys need to repent. You have strayed. You are no longer who you used to be, and you need to get back to it, because we can't live with this.
And the version that you're doing now is evil.
It's evil.
It's not absolutely evil. It's not only like theologically untenable and not in comportment with with the actual teachings of Jesus. It's evil.
Yeah.
It's beyond all of that.
Yeah.
Like, I obviously don't care. I would prefer that everyone be not Christian.
Absolutely.
But if you're going to be Christian, you can't be the evil version.
Yeah. Well, it's also not a realistic position to be like, well, let's just no longer have Christianity. Like, no.
Right. Oh, no.
Like, there are going to be Christians. They're going to continue. They need to be the better version of Christianity that they have stopped being.
And as I said earlier in the show, I think people are going to be needing to turn to religion right now, because people are going to start hurting hard.
Yeah.
And religion, and our government's not going to save them right now. Right now, no. Our government's going to be the cause of the hurt and not the balm.
Yeah.
And I think religion is the institution that is there that might actually be able to offer some comfort, some solace, some help. And I am not going to be the one to poo-poo that. And I don't think that I think we should also, like, secularly, it would be great if we could find some ways to also offer that help, to also be that. But we don't have that yet. We're new. You know what I mean? Like, right now, and this guy Rausch, I think one of the main things he's missing in his thinking is he said that secularism has failed. He said that leaving religion didn't work. And I say, bullshit. It's new. We don't even know what it is yet. We don't know how to do it. We don't know how to make it, the net positive thing that it needs to be for society. And it does. We need to figure it out. We need to start establishing some very new enterprises and some new institutions. Yeah. And we don't know what those are, and we don't know what they look like, and are, whoever the leaders who are going to emerge that will bring these to us, they haven't emerged yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
It ain't us, you and me, but we'll be looking for them, and we'll be raising our voices when we see them.
Yeah.
Listener, if you guys know of people who are doing that good work out there, send it in to us, because we want to raise up their profile.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, we're not doing it yet. We're not there yet. And so I think I hate to say it, I think we should be fine with people being religious as long as they're not being evil. I think we should be pleased when people get help that they need.
So hear me out. Mm-hmm. But isn't that what a secular society is about? Right? Is leaving that space, right?
Right.
Like our government shouldn't have any role in it.
No.
But you as a private citizen out there being religious and joining your church, doing whatever, fine. But leave us alone, right?
Well, and that's the other thing.
Keep it to yourself, right?
Right. And also, and
this
I'll
is some
work
golden
with you.
rule stuff here, where it's like,
if you're doing good in the world, I'll work with you. I'll go shoulder to shoulder with you.
Yeah.
I will be out there. There's a church that's across the street from my place. And on very, very cold nights, they are not allowed to house anybody. That would be illegal. They have movie night.
Oh, wow.
When the temperature drops below a certain thing, they have movie night all night.
Wow.
And people go in and maybe they fall asleep during the movie.
Uh-huh.
But they're kept from freezing to death.
Yeah.
And anyone who says anything negative about that, about a church actually doing the work that they need to be doing, that they were called to do, fuck them. You know what I mean? We need to be shoulder to shoulder with the people doing the good in the world, whoever they are, whatever group they are.
Yeah. I still don't think they deserve tax breaks, but
yeah.
If they start behaving,
it's all
let's talk about, once you guys get your act together, maybe let's talk again and maybe you can change my mind. But right now, no. But no, Dan, that's wonderful. And it's great that church is doing it. My guess is it's not a Mormon church.
It's not. Yeah. It's not. You're correct.
Yeah.
But I do think that we need to be praising the churches doing good as much as we are. As much as we are condemning the churches doing harm. Absolutely. Yeah. Agreed. All right. Well, there you go. That was a crazy conversation. I enjoyed it though. If you friends, I'm guessing folks have some shit to chime in with. Oobly. And I'm looking forward to it. So please do. You can reach out to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com. Or you can call and leave us a voicemail message. We'd love to hear from you. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. To support the show, go to thankgodimatheist.com/donate. This episode was edited by Roger Gowdy, and music was provided by the Red Rock Hot Club and Gordon Johnston. Hey, thanks to all y'all for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. Thank God I'm Atheist is a production of TGIA Media, LLC, copyright 2025, all rights reserved.